I'm going to come back on stage, but before we get started, our host for today is our Deputy Director, Ms. Letty. Test.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for participating and attending in our first Accessions Symposium. Before I actually get started, it's just a few slides. I want to thank the AFPC team and also our HAP partners for putting this together. About a year and a half ago, we realized that a lot of attention had to be put on the accessions process. And I charged my team about 6 months ago to generate and create this forum so that we can start collaborating, sharing ideas, and educating. And they came through. I think I met with them twice, and they came over and briefed me on what they had done a few days ago, and I was totally blown away. They did it all on their own. They brought in PA. They put all the pamphlets. They facilitated the transportation and mobility for you all. So on behalf of all of you, I'm thanking my team for putting this forum together. Can you please stand up if you participated in creating this? Thank you. There's a person here I'm trying to look from, but yesterday they stopped by the building at the AFPC, and I have to share this with you because it was sort of funny. But he came over and we were talking, and apparently he had never been to San Antonio, but he said something to me that was pretty funny. I'm not going to point at you if you're in the audience, but he said, so I'm really glad to be here, and I checked off a couple of things that were on my list to do in San Antonio. And I said, great, so what did you do? And he said, well, I went to Heap and I got myself some tortillas. And I first just started laughing. So if you've never been to San Antonio, never been to Texas, Heap is actually H-E-B, and tortillas is tortillas. So, we had a giggle, but I told him, I'm going to have to share that tomorrow at the symposium. So if you're out there, you can raise your hand and tell them it was you, but I'm not going to point out who you were. But I just thought that was very interesting. So why are we actually here? So like I told you, about a year and a half ago, we started getting a lot of cases that were going through, IG complaints, congressional inquiries, and a lot of them were on the medical side. We started looking at these specific inquiries, and it was on airmen that were trying to be assessed. And we didn't assess them properly, and these airmen were not getting paid for months and months and months, or they were waiting to come in. Terry Reed is going to show you and discuss a couple of cases so that you can see the impact. But these particular cases, brought this issue to light. We had a couple, I think it was one doctor in particular that I remember that recruiting was trying to assess. The couldn't get squirreled. And we eventually lost that doctor. There was another doctor that was trying to come in, actually gave his practice up, and was hanging out there for more than 6 months without a paycheck. Right? Those are just a few examples that came to light where we realized that this process was really, really broken. When I say that, I'm talking about the current leadership and the current people that were in place, because I think, I was at the air staff for many, many years, and I had heard about scrolling, not fully understanding what scrolling was. That wasn't in my portfolio, but I know that a lot of smart people were always getting together and we're trying to figure out how we can improve scrolling. And this was about 7 to 8 years ago where I first heard about scrolling. It wasn't until AFPC that I started to realize the impact, because I was putting a face to that potential recruit or that airman. And all of you that are here are going to be part of learning and collaborating, but mainly trying to figure out how we can improve the overall process, not only for your particular areas in your organization, but also for the entire enterprise. One thing that we noticed as we were evaluating this process is that there was not a forum to collaborate and communicate. You know, you're all working, ROTC is working their thing, the Academy's working their own thing, OTS, you know, the reserves and so forth. There was no forum where we could share best practices and discuss the overall issues that we have as an Accessions enterprise. So this is one of the things that we decided to do. We have multiple action items. This is only one. It's holding this symposium. So like I said, we started noticing, you know, that there is no transparency in the process. People would be submitting scrolls, you know, they know where they were. You know, sometimes they fell in a black hole. Unless you call the AFPC or unless you call the air staff, you didn't have any transparency on that scroll. We're trying to improve that, and I'll touch on that a little bit. Our systems that we currently have in the enterprise are very antiquated. We're moving forward, and we'll address that in a little bit. So on the previous slide, now I'm not going to go back because I'm not sure what the heck I'm doing. I apologize. But on the previous slide, there was information in there about rapid improvement events. We had many rapid improvement events, right? And many were actually championed from very senior levels. I think the last one was the ATC commander, and that was probably about 18 to 2 years ago. So there's a lot of smart people that have been looking at this process, right? And a lot of people have actually come up with some action items. And those action items were actually done, right? But those action items were just band-aids to a real bad issue. And this is one of the big issues that we found that was challenging. Who's doing this? You guys? So I asked my team, I said, let's really dig deep into this process and find out what is the actual root cause, right? It's not, you know, that somebody didn't get rolled. It's not that, you know, somebody at AFPC and one of the cheers didn't do something right. That was probably a contributing factor. But we wanted to get to the root cause of this particular issue. And what we found is that our current IT infrastructure to support officer sessions, in particular scrolling, was not there, right? The overall sessions process essentially is broken. It's gone better, but from our perspective, it's still broken. And the reason I say that it's still broken is because when we have an IT solution that interfaces, can give you information quickly, is current, and is user-friendly for all the Accession platforms, you know, all the commissioning sources, to include even BMTS. Right now we're talking officer sessions, it's going to go much wider. Then it's still broken. We have managed to do some band-aids in regards to the IT part, but the overall enterprise is still the fundamental things that we need for IT to manage the enterprise is not there. So my team came up with this slide, right? So that we can start socializing and showing senior leadership what the root cause was on the Accessions process and in particular scrolling. So this slide, even though it's not fantastic, you gotta think, you know, it's personnel is developing this and we're trying to tell the story with some feedback that we got from our different commissioning sources, basically tells the overall story. That there's all these multiple systems that don't interface and don't talk. I, you know, trying to understand the root cause, talked to a couple of the organizations, some of the commissioning sources, and what I found out, and I talked to our IT guys in ACOA, and we actually get some of this information via a file that's put out in some kind of network SharePoint site, and then eventually, you know, it's loaded in Oats or Milk PDF, right? When we get that information, everybody gives us the information. Similar process, but it's at different times. ROTC gives it at a predetermined time, the academy gives it at a predetermined time. And so my fundamental question is, why are we so different? Nobody knew. Why do we get all this information and the information is not the same? If it's an accession, it's an accession, right? And you're going to become an officer, shouldn't we get the same information and shouldn't it be coming in at the same time? So those are things that we still don't know, that we have to tackle, that we have to do a deeper dive. But those are fundamental problems that we're seeing with the IT and processing of data, right? So the other thing that we noticed is a lot of the communication that's coming in from the different commission sources are coming in via email on Excel spreadsheets. Now, we've gotten better, right? And I'll touch on what we did to try to help that process. But we still, I mean, frankly, 75,000 emails that are coming to AFPC with Excel spreadsheets. And I will tell you, a lot of that information is not accurate or is out to date, right? And so, remember, when we don't get it right, when your organization doesn't get it right, when we don't get it right, there's an airman behind that error. And fundamentally, we need to make sure that we do everything we can as an enterprise to make sure that their transition into the Air Force is as smooth as possible. So the other thing is we're getting a lot of paper. I mean, we're getting 5,000 commissioning packages when we have ARMS, right? There is the capability there to electronically sense information, but there's limited capability for you to send the information electronically. So that's a huge problem. We're in 2018. There's technology out there that can easily scan that and send that forward, right? There's case management systems with workflows that can send that forward. So this is why I'm saying we're fundamentally broken. We are not there yet. So again, this slide was presented to senior leadership to start telling the story. And that actually happened about a year ago. So the next slide. So this isn't perfect, okay? And frankly, we're actually beyond this now because I've been attending and talking to some of the really smart IT people, in particular our CIO, Dr. Parker. He's a CIO in A1 that is really helping us champion this effort. But this, slide depicts what we believed we wanted. That was 6-7 months ago. We want to have a system that interfaces with all the commissioning sources system. The reason I say this is a little bit old is because, where's my academy rep? Here. Hey, welcome. So, if you get an opportunity, I don't know too much about what your strategy is in IT, please talk to her and get some insight. But we got a briefing from the Accessions team a couple of months ago, and they just purchased a product called Salesforce. I'm not saying Salesforce is going to be the IT solution for the Accessions enterprise, but we got an opportunity to see what they're doing. We're going to be partnering with the academy because we're trying to get some best practices and also look at how they're using Salesforce. So from my understanding, Salesforce has a case management tool, and they're going to be leveraging that tool. As I understand it, you still will be using Venus. But because they have Salesforce, our fundamental question was, as an enterprise, and we asked our force leaders in A1 and MR, are we going to be using this tool, right? Because if the academy has been using, we've been saying we have this problem. What are we doing for the academy? What are we doing for OTS? What are we doing for BFT? Right? Again, we have to get away from our stovepipe, right? We've got to start looking at the overall enterprise. We also engage with AFPC. So we all started talking about, what the academy is doing. We're going to start engaging with them on best practices. But our number one goal is to try to get an IT product, again, whether that's Salesforce or AFPC or any other tool, we don't know that yet, that will make it easy for all the personnelists and, you know, our medical professionals, our JAG, all our non-line that are doing some kind of accession function to use this so that we're all using the same kind of system. And that you will have the tools that you need to make sure that you can read in those accessions and make sure that it's a beautiful experience. And I say beautiful because Dr. Parker keeps using that. And, you know, our new MR, Mr. Manasco, they keep fundamentally saying, we want to make sure that, you know, our sessions is a beautiful experience, starting with the recruiters. You know, you want to get mobile capability, have case management capability. You know, there's a lot of things that are already in the work. Okay. So remember, there's a lot of additional action items. These are just a few that I wanted to highlight. I talked about the IT challenges that we've been having, right? So when we started finding out fundamentally that we didn't have an enterprise IT solution to support a particular scrolling, because that was the main challenge that we were finding, we went to our recruiting partners because they have AFPC, and we said we're desperate because we couldn't acquire something quickly enough, we couldn't make modifications to LPS. When I say we couldn't do it quickly enough, right? We did not have time to try to find some kind of interim IT solution that was going to take 3 or 4 years. It was too late. We needed to figure out how we can leverage technology now. And our AFRIS team came through. We found out about AFRIS TF, and they supported us by developing a good case management system that helps with scrolling. It's not perfect. You know, they've sent out a couple of revisions. I think our next release is in October. But as I understand it, you know, the commissioning sources are using, it does provide a little bit more visibility. The air staff is about to get on that platform after the October release. And so we are now moving towards an enterprise solution to start using AFPC. So I will point this out to you. Senior leadership is very committed to making sure that this strategy that we're trying to develop and push gets done. Mr. Manasco said, and also General Laruda, who's an AFPC, has indicated that if we don't win with the sessions, we don't win at all. I just found that out. So this is very, very important. I don't know if any of you have heard that there is a Total Force Recruiting Council. That has been very active. They're trying to, well, not trying, but they've already developed a strategy to help with the Total Force Council. But what we're also trying to do is tag on the accessions piece, because from our perspective, they go hand in hand. You can't do recruiting without the accessions and vice versa. So AFPC. So that is our interim solution for now. And when I say it's an interim solution, you know, if we get more money and AFPC determines to be the system that we want to use, then that's going to be a much robust application. And, you know, we'll let you know probably within the next 6 months. The other thing I'm talking about IT is, again, developing an IT strategy that will make sure that all the commissioning sources, that's our phase 2. The other thing that's very important that I wanted to emphasize, the legislation. We for years have tried and have challenged not only the Air Force but some of the other services, the way scrolling is done for officers, right? And from our perspective, the way the legislation is written and it's tied to constitutional language, costs a lot of work, frankly, right? I mean, I wondered, why am I going into this world? You know, and again, you start peeling back the onion, you start looking at the constitutional language, you start looking at the legislative language, and you're like, oh my God. But you'll address that later on with Letty and get more insight. But one of the things that we're doing and we're advocating and I think it's got some traction and some visibility, is to try to do some legislative reform. That's already being worked up at your staff. We got your own council behind us. Leadership is very much engaged. So what we want is we want to go into a single scroll per component. Right now, if you're an individual that's going to medical school, you need a reserve scroll. Then when you're coming out on active duty, you need another scroll. And that is causing a lot of problems because some of the scenarios that I gave you earlier and that Terry's going to cover, where people are waiting to come on active duty, is because one, a research scroll was never done, or we didn't have the active duty scroll done in time. And again, what happens? We have these airmen and these recruits just sitting there without a paycheck, right? I know I recently found out about a young lady that was at home, a nurse, right? A nurse, you know, for 6 months that was living with mom and dad because we didn't have the school ready. So please remember faces. That's what we do on your office. And then, of course, the other thing on the road to recovery is having this symposium. Again, these are just the 4 major things that we're trying to tackle to fix the enterprise. Many, many more action items. I don't know if we get an opportunity to get into those today. But the reason that you're here is not only to share and collaborate, but also I want to get your commitment that you're going to be part of the solution and that we're going to start collaborating and communicating on how we can fix the fundamental challenge that we're all having right now. I am going to meet with some of the senior principals after, because there's a lot of work to do, right? We're going to have to do process improvement re-engineering. We're going to start looking at requirements. The Air Force Personnel Center cannot do it all. Essentially, I've got a team of about 3 people that are really doing sessions from a policy perspective. The Air Staff only has a few people. So this is going to take a community, a village. So I'm going to need certain key stakeholders to lead certain efforts. But again, it's to make the enterprise better. So welcome. If you need anything from me, I'm going to be here for the next couple of hours, and you'll have my information. Please call me. It doesn't